morning, guys. All right. So if you haven't done so, you can turn your homework 3 in right here, and remind me maybe 5 minutes before we finish the class. I'll return homework 2. Okay. I don't want to do it at the beginning because some people might not be here yet. So last time we talked about NoSQL, and as promised, today we will talk about one of the databases in NoSQL, which is MongoDB. Okay, and I think according to last time asking you guys, quite a lot of you have already heard about MongoDB, but maybe you haven't tried it yet. So I'll show you how it is in action today. But before we do that, we will kind of introduce what MongoDB is and what's so special about it. Okay, so today I won't really ask you to get hands-on with MongoDB because I didn't ask you guys to bring a laptop and install everything, but I'll show you how it's like and kind of do a comparison between MongoDB's commands and SQL commands. Okay. So let's get started. MongoDB, actually the name comes from humongous. Okay, so the Mongo comes from humongous, which means it's supposed to deal with humongous amount of data, which is like the motivation we talked about last time. NoSQL, the reason it is born is because SQL actually wasn't designed having in mind that the data nowadays will be so big, right? SQL was introduced around the 80s. So MongoDB is a scalable, high-performance, open-source, schema-free, and document-oriented database. If you remember from last time, we were talking about NoSQL, and one of the more important feature of NoSQL is that they are schema-free, or you can say schema-less. So it's really different from SQL that we learn. Every time you create a table, you have to define the schemas first. That's for SQL. But for NoSQL, one of the benefits and interesting feature of it is that when you start it, you don't really care about what the schema is. You just input data anyway. Okay, so it's schema-free, and also it's document-oriented. If you guys remember from last time, we talked about 4 types of NoSQL databases, right? The first, I think, key value, and we have column family, then we have graph database, and then we have document-oriented database. And there's not one single type that is better than the other. It just heavily depends on what you want to do with your database, okay? But document-oriented database, among all of the types of NoSQL database, is the most popular one right now. And MongoDB is the one leading it. So a little bit of background for MongoDB. As I said, it is a type of document-oriented database in the NoSQL databases family. And it eschews the traditional table-based relational database structure in favor of JSON-like documents with dynamic schemas. So last time I briefly talked about how things in document-oriented database will be stored like, and I talked about JSON, and I think a lot of you haven't heard of what JSON format is like, which I will show you later. Okay, so JSON actually stands for JavaScript Object Notation, right? And in MongoDB, whenever they talked about how their data format is like, they actually say BSON, and that means the binary version for JSON. Okay, so it's actually just what happens after behind the scene, how they handle JSON. But when you read the data, it's in JSON format. MongoDB is first developed in 2007 and it shifted to open source in 2009. And up until this year, in July, in the ranking, you can see this is like how the databases are being adopted. And the most popular ones are still Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft SQL 7, okay? And these are all relational database. And you can see MongoDB right after them. This is the popularity of it. It's the 4th most popular database being used. And it's the #1 NoSQL as well, okay? And it's the document store. So how MongoDB themselves define themselves in terms of the functionality and scalability is right here. So you can see relational database, even though they are not so scalable, like we said before, they are not meant for storing huge amount of data, the depth of functionality is strong, okay? Remember when we were learning like querying data and everything, it's well developed. So our RDBMS is right there. And the original idea of NoSQL, if you remember from the imaginary
evolution of NoSQL. That's the very beginning is key value. So key value store is really scalable, but when it was first developed, it actually lacks a lot of functionality. Okay, it's just too simple. It's just key value, that's all. So MongoDB defined themselves at this sweet spot. So they have good depth of functionality and good scalability. And whether it is true, then it is for you to judge. So just a quick example of how JSON format looks like. So this is super tiny, but I just want to give you a flavor of how JSON is like. So this is one of the examples. It's anonymized out right now, but it's one of the examples if you use the Twitter API to get tweets from Twitter, okay? And this is what the data Twitter API will return you with. So it will return you with a tweet, and the tweet started out, if you can see the text, that's the content of the tweet, and then it will keep going to include different kinds of information. For example, here it has a user field, and in the user, they have so many different information for the user. So in JSON, everything is really nested, and you can see this is what we call key value. Key and then column value. So that's how things are being stored in JSON. Okay. So let's just really quickly talk about how MongoDB stores things. Okay, what's the building blocks for MongoDB? So MongoDB, for a MongoDB instance, it has databases. So for this, you can think of it as the databases we have in SQL. Remember, when we first get into the SQL shell, you actually have to type in show databases, and that will show you what are the current databases you can use. And for you guys, if you use the CSE one, it will show you the one with your ID, the one we created for you. And then you choose use database. Yeah, use that one. So MongoDB has the exact same thing. So it's just a high-level container, just like SQL. Okay, nothing too different here. Same thing, database. For example, you have a project. This is for doing the online shop. Then you have a database called online shop. And you have another one for enrollment of the courses. Then that one can call enrollment. Okay. So a database has collections. What we mean by collection is, this is the idea of mapping to table in SQL. Okay. So for collections, earlier we showed you maybe tweet can be one kind of collection, user can be one kind of collection. So here they just have kind of different terms with same high-levelly similar idea. And for collections, collections are made out of documents. So earlier you see whenever we use curly braces to put things together, that's a document. So for documents, you can think of it as the rows in SQL. Okay, rows in the table. And documents have fields. Then this is the same, right? Same in SQL. All right. So one thing that's really unique in MongoDB and makes it quite different from other databases is that whenever you ask the data from MongoDB, you have the choice of returning it into a cursor. So that's like the idea of pointer. You can store it in that pointer first, and then you can do some kind of processing. Maybe you say, I want to skip view of the document, or I want to do aggregation first before you return it. Okay, so it doesn't go too crazy when you see it. You can kind of get a sense of how the data is like first when you query it, and then decide what you want to do with it. So to give you a more pictorial sense of how things are put together in MongoDB, in this slide, this is how it is. So we have a collection. This whole thing is a collection of documents. So each green box is a document. Okay? So inside the document, we have this kind of format. So basically, we just have field and value, field and value. So that's the key value pair right here. Okay, so one thing to note that is for each of the document, the green thing here, each document within the collection doesn't have to have the same set of fields. Okay, so that's a unique thing about NoSQL. The field can be different from document to document, even though I think this example doesn't show it. So don't get confused. It doesn't have to be the same. Okay.
So today I'll show you some of the queries in action, and I think they are pretty simple, so you can just chill and watch how things are happening. Okay. So MongoDB, yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by document? I assume it's not like a text file that anyone can read. It's like something that only the database management system can look at.
Oh, okay. So the reason they call it document is because not only they put it in a way that's key value, but also because they claim it's more humanly readable. So it's more like this, you just read through it. So they say it's called document. So document is like, you can think of it as the table in SQL, okay? Yeah.
No, document is the row. The row, and the collection is the table.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so MongoDB, they have rich sets of queries, or you can say semantics, for reading and manipulating data. And they call the way they design the semantics CRUD, okay? So CRUD just basically stands for create, read, update, and delete. Okay, nothing fancy, it's just how they name their semantics. So just to give you a flavor of how queries are like, how commands are like in MongoDB. So I do a comparison between MongoDB's query and how it will look like when we do it in SQL. So for example, this is the C in CRUD, the create. So for creating things, it's similar. If we want to insert a row in SQL, this is what we would do, right? We specify the table that we want to insert values in, and sometimes we specify the order of the fields that we will later enter the value for. If it follows the original definition, then we don't do this. Okay, then here's where we put the values. Then that is what we will do to achieve the same thing in MongoDB. Okay, so you basically say, MongoDB always starts with the DB objects. Okay, so it's always you are doing things against the database object. Okay, so you DB and then you specify which collection you want to insert the information into, and then you basically open the curly brace saying, now I start this document. Okay, start this document and then put in the data and then close the document. Okay, so every time when you enter the document, it won't check whether the field does not exist. Okay, so it's all right, you can just put in whatever you want. Okay, so that's how creating things are like.
Like users is a relation in the SQL. So is it a document? It's called document in MongoDB, or it's a collection?
Oh, user is a collection. Okay, and for document, yeah, earlier I made a mistake. A document is like the row in SQL. For each record, it's a document. Yeah, and for overall, it's a collection.
Okay, so one collection can have like any number of documents.
And they don't have to have the same fields. Okay, so that's a C. And for R, which stands for read, this is how it would be like. I think when we were talking about SQL, we didn't talk about the limit, but it's just basically saying if you exceed a certain number of rows, you can say, I only want the first 5. Okay. So MongoDB can also do that. So here, if we want to select based on the criteria in SQL, we can say we want to we do projection first, right? Doing what fields we want and what tables we're choosing from and what's the criteria, qualification criteria of rows we want. So if we do it in MongoDB, here's the interesting part. So we also say against the database object. Okay, now we are working on the user collection, which is table in MongoDB. Then you want to find, first you say you want to find the name and address, okay? Based on this criteria, which is age, that is greater than 18, okay? So in MongoDB, the comparison operator is a bit different. So they all use this kind of $sign and then GT means greater than, and LT means less than. Okay, GTE means greater than or equal to. Okay, later I will show you. But this is a bit not so intuitive, but that's how they do it in MongoDB.
But how will you choose the ID in this? It's only the name and the thing.
Oh, yeah. So here
in MongoDB, if you don't specify it, ID comes with it automatically. Yeah. So that's why they only specify the name and address.
And is the order important? As in MongoDB, if the projection is done before the query criteria?
Yeah, it matters because for the find, for the find function, it will just assume it has 2 arguments. So the first argument means the criteria. Yeah. Okay, so that's for brief. And the U stands for update, and this is how the update will be like. Okay, if you remember in SQL, whenever we want to update a table and then specifying what criteria and what we want to change into, we use update set where. Okay, so this is really simple. We just update the user table, and we set the rows status into A wherever the age is greater than 18. So that's what we would do if it's in MongoDB. Okay, so these are really similar. This is the same, right? Criteria is the same. Age, and then we do greater than 18. And for setting, it has this set operator. Okay, so you can see a lot of $signs in MongoDB. And then what do you want to set? I want to set the status field into A. Okay, and here is the option called multi. In MongoDB, if you set the multi to be true, this is basically what we want, because you want all of the rows that satisfy the criteria to be updated this way. And if you don't do that, you only do it once. Okay, you will only find the first one. You will only update the first one you find based on the indexing. Okay, so that's for update. And the last one is delete. It's actually really simple. Delete is just like this. Okay. You just say, I want to delete from the user table wherever the status is D, and that's what you would do in MongoDB. So later on when we are trying out in action, if you don't put any criteria, it basically just means you delete every row in that collection. Okay, that's it. Simple as that. All right, so I will show you how things are like. Yeah. So here I put a link for an online shell, which I think is pretty awesome. It's not like last time, the disaster one. It kept breaking. This one works pretty well. So today we'll use this, and also like for the next slides, I put on everything that I will do, and we just see how things are working. Okay? And in later slides, you will keep seeing weird words like unicorns or something. That's because I found this tutorial written by this guy that he just thinks it's a brilliant idea to use unicorns as an example. And I like his tutorial. So if you guys are interested, when you go home, you can see, this is the book. So it's written by Carl, and he's the Little MongoDB book. It's really neat. It's only around, I think, 27 pages. And after reading that, you get a pretty good sense of how things are like in MongoDB. It's really concise and fun to read. Let's try it. All right. So if you visit that website, this is what you will see, and it's just very basically a MongoDB shell. Okay. So few of the global commands you can try. I think we didn't put a lot of emphasis on this when we were in SQL. But basically, you can try like help, and that will show you a lot of different kind of general commands you can use. Or you can also do exit, but we won't do it here. But then you can exit from the shell. And one thing to note is, if you type db.help in parentheses, it will give you the list of commands you can do against the DB object, database object, because these are those that you can try. But an interesting thing is if you do db.help without the parentheses, because the shell is written in JavaScript, it will actually just show you the body of the method. Okay, that's just something you want to keep in mind. So if you want to do any kind of commands, do it in the way that's function. So we have the parentheses. Okay. All right. So let's start by creating a database. So in MongoDB, when you want to create a database, is this too small? It was fine. Okay. If you want to create a database, it's really simple. You just, even though you started now without any database in this session, okay, this temporary session, you can just directly say, I want to use, and then put the database name. And not only it will switch into the data, it will create a database and switch into it. Okay, so today, because we are using the Carl's unicorn example, I just say it's Wonderland. Then switch to Wonderland. Okay. Then remember, database, inside database, the first level is collection. So now we want to check what collections we have. It's really simple. We just have to do db.getCollectionNames. And because now we don't have any collections, you're supposed to see this empty set. Okay, so this means empty set. So what would you do if you want to enter any value? So earlier we saw that's the C for the CRUD. Then you can simply just do, okay, now we want to enter, for example, the first unicorn into the database. And we haven't created the unicorns collection yet. So you can just simply say, without creating the tables or anything, you just start directly saying, I want to create a unicorn database against the DB object and insert value of the first unicorn, which has the name, I think for Aurora, and the unicorn is the female, and the weight. Okay, so you can see here we all use curly braces to denote one document. So if you want to do multiple, you just keep going and then you can enter, like open another one, close another one. So that's more. You can enter multiple unicorns. And if you finish this, then just do parentheses to finish it. Okay? So now, by doing this, not only do we create a unicorn collection, but we also enter the first unicorn. So you can see if we do it again, now we have a unicorn collection, right? But besides that, we also have system.indexes. So what is this? The system.indexes in MongoDB is actually taking care of the indexing of all the documents inside. So if you try, if we just say, let's list the unicorns we have. Yeah?
What is unicorns? Is that a class or?
It's an imaginary animal.
I know, but
Yeah.
what does it do?
Okay.
What
Oh, you
kind
mean
of
here?
Yeah, what kind of functions? What's
Sorry.
I know what a unicorn is.
Sorry. No, we are creating, this is the name of the collection.
Okay.
So it's not a function in MongoDB.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just one.
So, but is it created, pre-created?
Oh, so we don't, it doesn't in one step.
Okay.
Yeah, so just like use Wonderland, we haven't created Wonderland, but we use it anyway. So not only will it doing the switching into the Wonderland database, it'll actually create it beforehand.
Okay.
So here the unicorn is the same. We haven't created any unicorns collection, but because of the first time doing it, it just creates it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not a function, it's the name of the collection. Okay, so now we say we want to list all of the documents in the unicorns collection. You can just say, okay, against the DB object on the unicorns collection, we do find without any criteria, so it will list all of the documents inside. And here you can see for MongoDB, it actually creates an object ID for you, which looks like this. So it's generated automatically. Okay, so that's what the system indexes are doing to help you index all the documents. And actually, right here, if you don't like the way they generate it, you can just specify it in insert. Okay, just say, okay, for underscore ID, I have my way of designing. Yeah.
So what sense I'm getting is like in this you don't have to define primary keys or something like that because DB Mongo just gives you some kind of key, right?
So the primary, yeah, this is the default
It's
primary.
automatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for any relationship also, you know, for any relation of relationship, you don't need to provide foreign keys or primary keys for you.
Mm-hmm.
because it is getting something.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and also we note that we just insert data however we want. We didn't even specify when we start the collection, saying, okay, I'm expecting these fields. Okay, just like started in. Okay, so now we have our first unicorn. Let me see. I think we're supposed to insert the second one. All right. So now let's say, now we found a second unicorn and we want to insert the information of the unicorn. You can just say, okay, now we want to enter this one. And the name of the unicorn is Lato. And so far so good. And this is a male. And now things can start to get different. We can say the home. Say whatever. Maybe he's from State College. Okay, the home is State College, and here the example. I don't really get. Maybe it's a joke or something. I don't know. Is it a warm? And it's false. Okay. So as you can see, the fields are really different. Okay, but it's still okay to do that way. Okay. What? I have a. For the what?
For home, State College, there is the starting is small.
Oh, thank you. All right. How do we make this? Let me mess around with this. Oh my God, I can't get out of it. Single home. Getting desperate. Okay. Another single one? Bracket?
At this point, it's code.
Okay. We did it. Okay. I don't know why it happened. Okay. I guess it didn't. Oh my God. Let's take a look at the information. Let's see what kind of unicorn it is. It didn't even insert it. All right. That's upsetting. Let's do it again. Okay. Thanks. All right. Let's do it again. Late. And so it's a male. Okay, this time I remember. And it's not warm. Okay, so now if you check it, we have the two unicorns, okay? And they don't have to have the same fields. So this is just to give you a sense, this is valid in MongoDB. Doesn't care whether the schemas are the same at all. Or maybe you can just say there's no schema. Okay, they don't like the idea of schema because it's schemaless. All right, so now when you want to try, if you want to try now, you can see on Angel, I put a script that you can insert a unicorn database that we can play around with, or you can do it when you go home. Okay. So now I'll delete these two unicorns first, and we will insert new unicorns, so we can see different kind of query, like selecting comments. Okay. I think right here. So if you go to Angel and under the lab folder, I have the scripts for today. Or I have it here. So for the query part, I think that's the more interesting part because so far nothing is really fancy. Okay. Now we enter some new unicorns and let's see what we can do with it. right, so if you want to fill out, I think on slide 17, I actually put one thing for you to fill out. That's, so slide 17, I say insert data, and we have the command of what we can do to insert the data, and I said try out the command now, and what will you see, okay? So that's the first time we create a collection and then insert a document. So what you will see will be the system index collection and the unicorns collection, okay, if you remember. I kind of missed that. That's on slide 17, all right? So now we put in the new unicorns from the script, and let's just quickly talk about what we can do with this. Here, okay. So, yeah,
So, sorry.
that's fine.
So system index collection basically has like documents that have only keys and
Wow.
like which document it is pointing to.
Yeah. All right, so later on when we try out different kinds of queries, so just note that whenever we are doing kind of matching or criteria in MongoDB, we just do it like field, column, and then value. So you're saying whether the field is matching certain value, and that's how you get the documents. Or earlier we see you can do field, and then we have another set of curly braces, and you do either it's greater than or less than, okay? Different kind of comparison operator. And if you want to match multiple conditions, then you just do comma and then the second one, okay? So this is assuming this is an AND statement, okay? I think I put a blank right here, okay? So it's an AND statement. If you specify multiple sets of key values, it means all of them has to be true for the matching, okay? So here are just the comparison operators that are in MongoDB. Actually, it's really self-explanatory, but I put it anyway in case you kind of forgot what it would mean. So LT means less than, LTE means less than or equal to, okay? Really intuitive, and NE is not equal to. So if you are, I don't know how many of you write in LaTeX. I think some of you do, like we saw homework, you guys wrote in LaTeX. So just don't get confused right here because I think LaTeX, they have, instead of GLT, I think it's GR. Anyway, just don't get confused with the LaTeX one, okay? Then let's try out different kinds of queries for querying different unicorns. Then we're done for MongoDB for today. And then I'll give you back the homework too. All right, so now if you see, the first query we want to do is to find the male unicorns weigh more than 700 pounds. Okay. So if you think of it this way, that means we are specifying two kinds of criteria, two separate criteria. The first one is the gender of the unicorn has to be male, and the second one is the weight being greater than 700. So if you think of it, it's a separate two terms. It's an and statement, right? Something and something. So what you can do is bigger. Oh my god. Okay, I did it again today. DB dot, okay, unicorns. And I want to find certain kind of unicorns, which are the male. Okay, that's the first thing we want to specify. And the second thing is the weight has to be greater than 700. So what you would do is to put weight as the field and specify the criteria, because now we are not matching equality. So to do it, you just put another set of curly braces and say greater than 100. Okay? Not so intuitive, but still understandable. Right? And we finish specifying what kind of documents we want. So then we put another curly braces and then finish this function. Okay? Then that gives you the result. of the unicorns you want. Okay, so if we check it, yes, they are both male and the weight both above 700. Okay, so that's very simple for the first one. As for the second one, when we want to find the unicorns that have no vampire field. I don't know why he designed like whether the unicorn is a vampire, but in the data, it will have some of the unicorns will have this vampire field. I guess that's how many vampires the unicorns have. So what you can do in MongoDB to check whether those documents have the field, because remember, documents don't have to have the same field, right? So you can check what are the documents that don't have such field, and the way we can do that is like this. I think this is really interesting. So you can say, against the database object on the unicorn collection, we want to find the unicorns who, on the vampire field, okay, so just put vampire, and this is the one I didn't talk about. Okay. You want to say, so what happened to the vampire? You can do exists. Okay, so the exist keyword just basically saying whether the field does exist in that document. So if you state that as false, then this result will give you the document without the vampire field. Okay, that's that. So this will come in handy later on if you design your database in MongoDB and all of the users have different kinds of field sets. Then whatever filtering you want to do, you can use, oh, then that's a lot. Okay. Anyone missed the comment? Oh, here. All right. The last one. Okay, that's the comment. Okay. Another query or another idea I think that's really helpful is the set operator. Yeah. Don't we what?
We see the vampires being there when we executed that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I put vampire instead of vampires. Oh yeah, that's my fault. Here I type in, so it actually gives me all of the unicorns. But they define it as vampires, so I missed the S. Okay? Yeah, thank you.
Also, writing a full select query, like select star from vampire or select star from the table, how to do that?
What?
I mean, how to write a full query, like select star from, will you find all or what method we have to use to write a full query rather than where condition? Without where condition, like.
Oh, the where connect. Oh, so for the find,
Find all or which method?
I'll show you. So if you want to do anything that's like, that's like this. So what we were doing, the criteria is actually like what we would do for the where in SQL. Okay, so that's the first argument. And the reason we didn't do the second argument is because we don't care about projection. We just select all of the fields. But in MongoDB, if you give it two arguments, then the first one is the where, what we would do in SQL, and the second one is like projection, like what we do in select. Okay? Yeah?
In the condition, how do we or between two conditions, like two criteria? Like we have a AND, right? Field 1 value, field 2 value.
Yeah.
Field 1 or field 2.
Oh, we'll try that query for. Okay. All right, so let's try out the rest two queries. Okay. Yeah.
So what, like Prakash asked, so in this we cannot do something like select start from, like it gives you all the attributes that are related to all the documents with collection this. We need to put which attributes we need, right?
So if we want to put which attributes we
I
want,
mean, that's fine, yeah, we can just put the attributes, but if there are too many, you don't want to put it, you know,
oh,
right that much.
like earlier, the way we did it, we only specify the condition,
Okay.
and we didn't specify which fields we want, and so you can see
I
actually,
mean, if you want all the fields.
you don't want all the fields.
We want all the fields.
Yeah, so this gives you all the fields. If, in all of the documents, whatever field it has.
So if we just remove the doesn't like this is exists false, if we remove this, will it do everything?
Yeah. So if we only, if you only define, that gives you all of the fields. Okay, so that's like listing everything. And we can try out one really quickly. You can also do limit, so let's say you only want one unicorn. Okay, dot limit, then that gives you the first one. Okay, so if you think that's too many, you don't want to see a snippet of it. Right? So sometimes you want to be careful with find everything. If you store a lot of things and listing, it will go crazy and just keep going. Your show will never stop. And you might want it. Yeah.
How is like order handled in the database? Will limit one always return that exact unicorn object, or is like it seems like I don't know, like IDs and just long
Yeah. So if you do limit one, it will give you the first one according to its indexing. Okay. But next time we will talk about it will sort it first, maybe based on whatever field you want, or you can give it a random number and saying skip this many to a certain. Yeah. We can. I'll show you guys next time. All right, so for the third query, where we want to find the unicorns that like apples or oranges, all right? So this is a cute one. Let me see. So again, same thing, okay? We find unicorns against the database object. So what are the criteria we are looking for? So we know it's on, so they have a loved field saying what kind of food the unicorns love. So you can just put loves. And because it's either apple or orange, so what you can do is like this. So you're saying the thing the unicorn loves are in a set. And the set has apple and orange. So what you can do is like this. So you say it will be in, okay, this is a set operator, a set of apple and orange. Then close. That's it. So in MongoDB, whenever you use bracket, it means set. So if you're coding in Python, you can think of it as list. Okay, so I somehow found MongoDB really relatable to Python. So this is like the list in Python. So you're just saying for the loves field, the criteria we are doing is whether it is in the set. Okay. So that gives you those unicorns who loves. So you can see here, the unicorns, they love apple or sugar, so apple is in the set. Apple, watermelon, apple is in the set. Okay, so another thing to note here is that, remember when we were talking about SQL, yeah. When we were talking about in SQL, the values can only be atomic. Okay, so just to remind you again, in MongoDB, it doesn't have to, NoSQL in general, they don't have to. So you will see a lot of values of a key that is like list or set. Okay. So we actually have a very last query. Yeah.
How would you go about like apple and oranges?
Oh, if you want apple or orange. So one way will be, let me see. Apple or orange. One way will be you can do it separately, like two loves fields. So the first one, loves in apple, and then you do another one. Okay, that's the first one. And another one I would think of is,
Does it have something like the and that you have in
yeah, so another one will be if you put it into an out, like you create another outer list, so then together is a list. You do it. I'm not sure whether it will work. So if you try. Let's see, I don't. Yeah, nothing, okay. But I'm not sure whether any of the, yeah. But I think that's another way.
Logically,
Yeah, I think that's the one. But I'm not sure whether the database has that. All right, so I'll save the fourth one next time. And next time I will talk about like different ways of querying and a lot more on that. And now I will return the homework 2. And let me see. So before we go, I have one thing to ask you guys. So remember I talked about we will have exam on SQL programming and NoSQL programming. So I want to do it on the week of the exam. So the good news is then the paper exam becomes shorter. Okay, maybe half of the time, so you don't suffer there too long. So we have different options. We can either do this first, do the programming first, and then paper exam the second. Which one do you guys prefer? Or it doesn't matter? Huh? Doing them together, it's hard because for the programming, I want you guys to be able to reference online. Okay, so I won't limit you guys saying only one sheet of paper and you. But for the exam, I still want it to be like one sheet of cheat sheet. Okay, so we can either do this in class, and then we meet up at the midterm time for this. Okay, so because we're gonna do it separately, and the midterm time is again Tuesday evening, so I'm just wondering whether you guys will want to do it on Monday or Wednesday. If we do it on Monday, then the review session is the Friday the week before. And I'm thinking I'll have the class off on Wednesday. Otherwise, I think it's too mean. Like 2 exam and then the next 8 o'clock class. Monday will be the exam, and the Friday before will be review session.
What if you have the exam on Wednesday?
Oh, you think Monday 8 a.m. is too hard? Okay, then we can do review session on Monday, paper exam on Tuesday evening, and then you wake up the next morning. Is that better for the program? Someone's shaking their head really. Or, okay, maybe this is better. Or we can have Monday review session, Tuesday we do the exam as this one, and Wednesday off. And then we do the coding on Friday.
8 a.m.
8 a.m. Friday 8 a.m. Or you guys don't prefer coding at 8 a.m. anyway. It's just not an option for you. Then we do paper exam in the morning. Nothing sounds better.
That is because you're giving options, you should just decide.
Wait, show me both.
I don't know. Or I can just do whatever I want. Okay, that's awesome. All right. So if you have to go first, that's fine. But if you don't have to, I'll return the homework too now. Okay.